40 light-years from Earth. There is a world that shouldn't exist. It has no sun. It does not reflect light. It does not have a solar system to call home. This is Object J47-22. It is a mass 6 times larger than Jupiter, grinding through the deep trench between stars at 2 million miles per hour. It has no orbit. It has no gravitational allegiance. It is a ballistic body on a trajectory that will never end. And the void it moves through does not register its passage. For decades, we treated space as a network of solar systems, bright islands connected by emptiness. That was a catastrophic misread of the data. The emptiness is saturated. For every star you can see in the night sky, current estimates suggest dozens of unbound planetary masses transiting the dark in total blackout. They emit nothing, they reflect nothing, and they are moving at velocities our detection grids were never built to intercept. If one of these objects entered the inner solar system tomorrow, you would not see it. You would feel it. The first signal would be orbital perturbation, Neptune pulling half a degree off its predicted track. Then Jupiter. Then Earth's own orbit beginning to deform like a rib cage under compression. There would be no visible object in the sky, just the math going wrong. By the time the data confirmed the intercept, the gravitational damage would be structural. This is not a theoretical risk. It is a measured blind spot. Every one of these objects has a formation history, and every history ends with a butchery. We call it ejection. Billions of years ago, this world was embedded in a stable system. It had a host star. But stability is a temporary lie in a multi-body system. When 2 massive planets occupy adjacent lanes, the physics collapse into a 3-body problem. And 3-body problems do not resolve peacefully. They resolve through sacrifice. The smaller body is bled of its orbital energy. Momentum is transferred. Velocity spikes past the escape threshold. The planet is launched out of its own home on a hyperbolic trajectory with no return solution. It is a line on a graph crossing a threshold. But from the surface of the world being evicted, the consequences are absolute. The host star shrinks. It turns from a disk into a dim spark. And then it vanishes. What follows is an atmospheric collapse that has no terrestrial analog. Without heat from a sun, the temperature drops below the condensation point of the air itself. Nitrogen liquefies. It falls as a cryogenic rain at -210 Celsius. Then it freezes. A shell of solid nitrogen ice entombs the surface. The entire atmosphere is converted from a gas envelope into a geological grave. The world is mummified in its own remains. And that seal will hold for 10 billion years. Longer than our own star has left to burn. You might assume the interior follows, that everything goes cold. The data says otherwise. A mass of this size generates enormous internal pressure. Gravitational compression alone keeps the core hot. Radioactive decay in the mantle provides a secondary thermal budget that persists for eons without a sun. On some of these orphans, models predict subsurface oceans of liquid water, kilometers below the nitrogen crust, heated from below by residual volcanism. These conditions are not hospitable, they are claustrophobic. If anything metabolizes in those oceans, it does so in permanent blackout. No photon has reached that water in 4 billion years. No photon ever will. To any organism in that environment, the universe is a pressurized cavity, surrounded by ice that extends in every direction without end. The concept of sky does not exist. The concept of light does not exist. There is only heat, and the slow grinding awareness that the heat is finite. Is there life down there? The data is inconclusive, but the thermodynamic window is open. Biology is opportunistic. That is all we can say. For us, the threat is simpler. These objects are functionally invisible. The only way we find them is through gravitational microlensing, a brief, anomalous flare in the light of a distant star as a ghost passes in front of it. A few hours of data, then it is gone. The object continues its trajectory, untracked, unmapped, unaccounted for. Current models place the number of these free-floating masses in the Milky Way alone in the trillions. The space between stars is not empty. It is a transit corridor dense with massive, invisible, high-velocity bodies that our infrastructure cannot catalog. We spent centuries building a map around the fires and calling it a universe. But the stars are a fractional percentage of the total mass in motion. The bulk of the planetary census is in the dark, unbound, unlit, moving at speeds that would shred any system they intersected. A rogue planet has no end. It will never be captured by a new star. The probability is effectively zero. It will continue its flight until the last stars in the galaxy go dark. Then it will keep moving through a universe with no remaining light, for timescales that make the current age of the cosmos look like a rounding error. It does not decay. It does not stop. It does not arrive. It simply persists. A mass in motion through a void that is getting colder, emptier, and more silent with every passing epoch. Our planet is not exempt from the math. Earth's stability is a product of current conditions. Those conditions are contingent. A close stellar flyby, a perturbation in the outer planets, a massive interstellar interloper passing through the Oort cloud. The math that keeps you tethered to your star is the same math that ejects worlds into the permanent dark. And there are trillions of objects out there confirming that the math does not favor permanence. The gap between the stars is not empty. It is full of mass, moving fast, moving blind, and arriving without warning. Our detection window for an inbound intercept is less than a decade. Our ability to alter its course is zero. Stability is a statistical fluke that the dark eventually corrects.